Set in the country of Pakistan, more precisely in the city of Mansehra, the story begins by showing several high-ranking officials gathering, discussing a news that informed that India had wiped out all the terrorists who entered its territory, where that made the Pakistan side angry because the struggle for years to seize the Kashmir region became a total failure. However, that did not become a big problem for the head of the ISI members, because he had summoned someone whose abilities had never been faced by India, named Azhar, where Azhar himself once carried out bombings in several places, starting from the nightclub bombing in the Istanbul area, the Indian embassy in the Mazar region, and so on, which made him confident that Azhar was capable of fighting the Indian side.
अफगानिस्तान और आसपास के मुल्क में इंडियन एम्बेसी ब्लास्ट, बारूद को उससे बेहतर कोई नहीं समझता.
Upon Azhar's arrival there, he immediately informed his plan to everyone that he would directly attack the Srinagar Air Base, Srinagar Evo Station.
Military ka dil, Srinagar Air Force Station.
In another place, several fighter pilots from India arrived at the airbase Srinagar, starting from the mustache guy named Bash, the glasses guy named Taj, followed by a cool woman, a helicopter pilot named Minnie, and the bearded guy named Suki. And not long after that, a fighter pilot, the strongest in India named Patty, arrived there and immediately showed his skills in making an aircraft. Shortly after Patty landed, a captain named Rocky came and immediately brought all the pilots to a room, where there, the captain immediately informed the reason why he gathered them, because right now, terrorist activities along the line of control were uncontrollable. Therefore, he would form a team named Air Dragon, which would be the first to respond. When a sudden attack occurred, however, to form a strong team, Rocky suggested that all pilots become closer to each other. Hearing that, Minnie suggested having dinner together.
Dismissed.
आपको ज़ोमैटो बहुत पसंद है?
That afternoon, a man from Kashmir named Faizan was seen watching the news informing that Indian soldiers had killed one of his people, where that coincided with the bus that arrived there, and Faizan immediately used it to kill him silently. When Faizan was about to succeed in killing Bash, his action was stopped by Azhar, who immediately took him to the car, where Azhar reminded him that the goal of Kashmir was not to kill one soldier, but that all Indian soldiers must be destroyed. Meanwhile, one by one, the soldiers began arriving at the restaurant, where Taj, as the one who knew Patty the most, told all his colleagues about the skills that Patty had, which was flirting with someone, where that was immediately proven by Patty when he begged for food from two girls, and sure enough, thanks to Patty's charm, he was able to take the food easily.
Please.
Okay. पूरा खत्म नहीं कर.
It's so sweet of you.
Magic, sir.
Day by day passed, from training and also playing together, where that made their relationship grow closer. Several times observing the Srinagar airbase, Azhar told his senior commander named Majid that he absolutely had no gap to infiltrate into the base. Therefore, he had a plan to transport all the RDX bombs using a boat through the lake route. And then Majid began his plan, which was transporting all the RDX bombs by boat. But once reaching the land, he was intercepted by soldiers guarding there. After hearing information that Majid was transporting bombs, which Azhar intentionally made happen, because it was part of the real plan.
Information sahi thi, sir. Itna RDX pe ek hotel uta.
At the Srinagar airbase, Captain Rocky was giving instructions to all pilots about the training in Taj's view, and Patty was ordered to provide air protection to the helicopter, while Rocky himself would act as the enemy.
Taj, you will lead this. Lekin hamare fighter pilots.
After the briefing, the pilots immediately practiced in the air. At first, everything went smoothly, until eventually Patty saw an enemy near him and immediately shot the enemy. without thinking about his duty to protect the helicopter. Although Patty succeeded in catching the enemy, he was instead considered a failure for not accomplishing the mission. So, he was asked to meet the captain after landing later.
क्योंकि नॉटी मिनी और सुकी तक पहुंच गया और तुम चॉपर्स प्रोटेक्ट नहीं कर पाए।
After everyone landed, the captain came full of anger and immediately scolded Patty for failing in the mission of protecting the helicopter. He also connected it with the incident in the past, where due to Patty's carelessness while on duty, the best helicopter pilot died after being attacked by the enemy. The chopper pilots are dead.
The chopper pilots are dead.
That night, when all the pilots gathered with a cheerful mood, Minnie approached Patty, who was standing alone. And there, Minnie told him that her father did not allow her to become a helicopter pilot because it was considered too dangerous for a woman. But because of her strong desire, she didn't listen to her father's words.
थोड़ी बहुत पढ़ाई करके सीधा शादी कर लूं। गलती उनकी भी नहीं है। आसमान में हम सब इक्वल हैं।
Inside the house, Minnie asked why Patty suddenly left the party, where there, Taj's wife, Sachi, instead felt relieved because Patty came out of the house again after the bad incident that happened to him, where the woman pilot who died was Patty's own Beyoncé's.
2 साल पहले मिशन में शहीद हुई थी।
वो पैटी की फियांसे?
The next day, the soldiers received an intelligence officer, the best face in India named Zarina. She informed that the capture of Faizan yesterday caused many stone-pelting riots across the valley. But India's concern right now was Azhar, a terrorist, the most vicious with his abilities, where he was now seen in the Balakot training center, which indicated that he was heading to India. Not only that, she showed a top fighter pilot commander named Red Nose, who was currently in POK.
कल रात घाटी से 200 किलो RDX बरामद हुई, उनका top fighter pilot.
Hearing that, Rocky decided to cancel the pilot training in the city of Jammu, but Zarina said that there was backup CRPF, the largest armed police force of India, which would control the stone-pelting riots and not disturb the pilots.
Stone pelting को control करने के लिए training जारी रख सकते हैं.
I agree. हम जम्मू ट्रेनिंग के लिए।
The fighter pilots left for Jammu, along with the RVF, who would handle the riot, where they all greeted each other upon arriving in Jammu. Patty took all his colleagues to rest at his residence, where they were warmly welcomed by Patty's father. In another place, now Faizan could finally fulfill his desire to wipe out the entire Indian military by bringing a bomb he stored in his car, where he immediately stepped on the gas, successfully reaching the middle of the police convoy, and then a devastating explosion occurred. The heartbreaking incident made all soldiers shaken, especially after seeing the short video of Faizan where Zarina suggested the possibility that the attack on the CRPF convoy was part of Azhar's plan. After knowing he failed to infiltrate the airbase, she also informed that Pakistan had prepared its air and ground forces as well as increasing air patrols at the border.
और कोई information नहीं है इस वक्त. जय हिंद.
जय हिंद।
Hearing that, Rocky as captain immediately ordered all fighter pilots to begin air patrol along the control line within 1 hour. But unlike Patty, he was asked to go to New Delhi to meet the WIC chief.
तैयार हो जाओ, पहली पेट्रोलिंग के लिए। Dismissed.
Long story short, upon arriving at the NSA headquarters New Delhi, several high-ranking Indian officials were seen gathering, discussing ways to counter Pakistan's attack, where Patty contributed his opinion, sharing his new strategy called Operation Banda, a long-range attack on Jabalpur, an area near Balakot, used as a militant training site where the reason Patty chose that area was because most likely Azhar would be there. Hearing that, all officials immediately approved it.
Good.
दुश्मन कभी सोच भी नहीं पाएगा कि हम इतनी दूर से अटैक लॉन्च करेंगे.
After getting permission from the high-ranking officials, the fighter pilots begin their operation and immediately attack Balakot, where Azhar, with his body covered in wounds, quickly reports to the Pakistani military to strike back against the Indian troops. Hearing this, the Pakistani military immediately deploys its best fighter pilot, Red Nose.
One Pak F-16 scramble from Islamabad. Roger.
Meanwhile, after several fighter pilots entered Indian airspace, Taj's jet was locked by Red Nose from behind. But without Red Nose realizing, Patty locked Red Nose's jet, where Patty demanded he unlock Taj's jet, or he would change his mind. Hearing that, Red Nose had no other choice, so he was forced to follow Patty's order.
सोच लो. दो. Lock off के बैठी. He's
Operation Bandar is a success.
The attack launched by India made Pakistan immediately launch a counterattack on the Srinagar airbase, where all the soldiers immediately ran toward their fighter jets and took off. Now, India's fighter jets were right behind. Pakistan's fighter jets were that turned out to be part of Pakistan's plan to deceive India so they could launch their real plan. Not long after Pakistan dropped bombs around the Indian military, the Pakistani jets were heading to Batali. Knowing that, Rocky ordered Taj and Patty to head to Batali.
Roger.
Upon arriving there, Patty met Red Nose again, so he vowed not to let him escape this time. But because of his ego, he kept chasing Red Nose until he crossed the line of control, where that immediately prompted the Pakistani pilot to shoot down Taj's jet. Hearing that Taj was being surrounded by Pakistani jets, without thinking twice, Patty rushed to Taj's location, but upon arriving there, he had to see his friend fall into Pakistan's territory, where he immediately reported it to the captain to send a rescue helicopter, but his request was denied. Instead, he was ordered to return to base.
Return to the base now!
Due to Patty's fatal mistake, he was removed from the Dragon unit and would be transferred to the Hyderabad Air Academy as a flight instructor.
As a flying instructor, post kiya. Good day, General.
When the captain was alone, he was approached by Minnie, who complained about his earlier decision regarding Patty. But he said he did it for the safety of all fighter pilots because Patty's mistake was truly fatal. There, the captain told her that 3 years ago, Garud commandos were being evacuated and the helicopter was ready to evacuate them, with Patty protecting it but due to heavy gunfire. The helicopter couldn't reach the pickup point until eventually a brave woman pilot named NJ approached the pickup point. But sadly, her helicopter was shot after asking permission to descend lower.
लेकिन दुश्मन की आर्टिलरी फायरिंग से
Observing the situation since that incident, the captain, who was NJ's brother, was devastated and continuously blamed Patty for allowing his sister to descend lower, which led to her tragic death.
मैं एयरफोर्स को एक होनहार पायलट खोना पड़ता.
After meeting the captain, Minnie tried to stop Patty from leaving the base, but Patty's decision was final because he believed leaving was the best for the team's future.
You really saved me. मुझे नहीं लगा था कि मैं फिर कभी
Squadron Leader Shamsher Pathania.
Long story short, upon arriving at the Air Academy, Patty was immediately assigned to be a flight instructor, newly assigned. He immediately guided one of the cadets, who panicked during his first solo flight, and helped him land safely.
Hold that position. Hold. And now.
After a while being an instructor, the graduation day arrived, which he used to discuss something important with his superior, where he decided to resign from the Air Force because he could not forget the moments with his fellow comrades.
Take a break. तुम्हारे वापस आने के बाद बात करेंगे।
जैन सर।
That afternoon, Patty, who was going to take a flight to Jammu, suddenly had it cancelled and rescheduled to the next day. But because he insisted on reaching Jammu soon, he used his charm again and managed to make the staff allow him to talk to the operations manager.
Any flight will do. Please.
सर आप हमारे ऑपरेशन मैनेजर से बात कर सकते हैं. I'm sure he'll be able to. He's right there.
Thank you.
Without hesitation, Patty went to the manager's office and said that he was a squadron commander of the Indian Air Force. Hearing that, one of the men there suddenly stopped and stared at Patty's face, and Patty immediately realized that the person in front of him was Minnie's father.
जिस दिन एयरफोर्स का कंसेंट फॉर्म भरा उसी दिन पापा ने मुझे शहीद मान लिया.
There, Patty informed him that Minnie was the best female pilot in India, which made everyone proud of her, even if her own father wasn't proud. He also said some wise words that touched Minnie's father deeply.
उसके डैड चाहते थे कि वो शादी कर ले. कर ली उसने. अपने देश से.
After 2 weeks in Jammu, Patty received news that his two friends would be released today after negotiations between India and Pakistan.
इंडियन गवर्नमेंट की लगातार बातचीत का ये एक पॉजिटिव और महत्वपूर्ण नतीजा है. दोनों ऑफिसर्स के परिवार.
After several days, Taj and Bash survived in Pakistan. They could finally be freed. But because they loved their country too much, Taj and Bash kept being tortured. Hearing the news about their release, all the fighter pilots, including Patty, gathered at the base, waiting for their return. But after a long wait, they were shocked by the arrival of Bash, who had already become a corpse. Seeing that, Patty immediately asked about Taj's whereabouts there. He was informed that Taj was not released because he didn't receive a release letter.
नहीं भेजा. कहा ऑर्डर से. बहुत टॉर्चर करके मारा उसको.
With heavy hearts, the soldiers sent Bash's body to his parents and the military funeral was held. Bash's death made everyone devastated, especially his parents. After the funeral, Patty approached Sachi and promised he would bring Taj home safely and asked her to trust him once more.
मुझ पे भरोसा कर सकती है.
In Pakistan's base, Taj's condition was already critical, but Taj's life was no longer important to Ajar because Zarina had now sided with Pakistan, giving them all important information about India.
ये ISI का टॉप एजेंट है हिंदुस्तान में.
Not long after, the general came to Azar saying that India would surely take revenge after one of its soldiers was tortured and killed. But that wasn't a big issue for Azar because Pakistan's military was ready after knowing India's attack schedule from Zarina.
इसीलिए तो उस काफिर का जनाजा भेजा था मैंने.
Elsewhere, the captain and his superior were working together, searching for a way to rescue Taj from Pakistan with the information they got from Zarina. Soon after that, a female soldier came and informed that Pakistan had closed its airspace, prohibiting any flight from entering.
पाकिस्तान से खबर आई है कि उन्होंने अपना सारा एयरस्पेस बंद डोमेस्टिक फ्लाइट्स के लिए भी.
After leaving the room, the captain was suddenly confronted by Patty, who wanted to know the way to rescue Taj, but the captain told him not to get involved because Patty was no longer part of the military.
तुम शायद भूल गए हो. तुम अब इस टीम का हिस्सा नहीं. फोर्स का तो हूं सर. तुमने तो अपने पेपर्स डालने का फैसला लिया.
Minnie, who saw Patty wandering aimlessly, approached him and said that she would bring Taj back. Not long after that, someone came calling her to go to the main gate.
मैं अब यहाँ.
Upon arriving at the gate, Minnie was shocked, seeing her parents coming to the base, where she immediately hugged her mother tightly, and there, her father had finally softened because of Patty's words back then, and he apologized.
बेटा संपत्ति.
After meeting her parents, Minnie thanked Patty because he softened her father's heart, and not long after that, Minnie was called for briefing before the mission. The captain briefed all soldiers saying the Gorod commandos would perform a halo jump from 9,000 meters, and from there, they would immediately proceed to the target area where Taj hostage location.
कोऑर्डिनेशन में एक सेकंड का भी फर्क नहीं पड़ सकता।
Long story short, the Indian military started the mission by sending a regular plane to fool Pakistan, and to smoothen the operation, one pilot acted as if he was lost because his compass wasn't working, and it worked perfectly, allowing the commandos and fighter jets to enter Pakistan's territory and directly damage Pakistan's airbase. After landing, the soldiers immediately entered the place where Taj was held. Their arrival angered Azhar because he had trusted Zarena, which had led to him being deceived.
अब इसकी जरूरत नहीं पड़ी।
Double agent.
After a tough fight, the soldiers managed to rescue Taj alive, but just as Suki's helicopter was taking some soldiers, it got hit by a bomb and exploded. India's situation became critical because Pakistan's fighter jets arrived and immediately destroyed one of India's jets. Therefore, the captain ordered Mini to return to the target area to check the situation. Upon arriving, Mini reported that Suki's helicopter had exploded and a heavy battle was ongoing. She also requested permission to drop additional commandos. Seeing the situation worsening, the captain deployed the reserve fighter jet, which Patty was now in. There, Patty asked for permission to join the mission with Captain Rocky on board, but the request was denied because it violated military protocol, but Rocky had no choice. He allowed Patty to join.
Go, Rocky. अब कोर्ट मार्शल होगा तो हम सबका एक साथ होगा।
Meanwhile, one of India's jets was surrounded by Pakistani jets, but that didn't last long because Patty arrived in time and destroyed the Pakistani jet. Not only that, Patty dodged a missile and redirected it back to the Pakistani jet. With his skills, Patty managed to defeat Red Nose, even though his jet was running out of fuel.
खोल दीजिए।
Elsewhere, Suki was being beaten brutally by Azhar, unable to fight back, but moments later, Patty arrived and beat Azhar mercilessly. After a long battle, all Indian soldiers finally returned home safely, where Patty also fulfilled his promise to bring Taj home alive. Everything became better. The captain apologized to Patty for breaking his mental spirit because of the incident with his sister, but Patty did not hold any grudge and still considered the captain his commander.
3 o'clock.
In the end, Fighter reminds us that bravery isn't just about stepping into danger. It's about standing firm for the people you love and the country you believe in. The film shows that teamwork, trust, and sacrifice are what truly make a hero. It teaches us that even when the world feels like it's falling apart, hope will always rise when people choose unity over fear and courage over doubt. And most importantly, Fighter tells us that strength isn't just in the skies or on the battlefield, but in the heart, in choosing to fight for what's right, no matter the odds. And I'll see you again. Adios.